Hey guys, welcome to the Dividend Growth Machine YouTube channel. My name is Nathan, and today we're going to be in part number 2 of our series on how to value dividend stocks. We've got the investment opportunity to purchase a lot of land, and it's got 2 buildings on it. We have building A and building B, and both of these come with a price tag together. We buy both of these buildings for $200,000. Okay, so how would we determine whether or not we should pay $200,000 for these 2 buildings? There's a couple questions that we would probably want to ask. One, how much rent do they currently bring in? 2, how much is that income, that rental income, growing? Number 3, how long this income is going to last. Okay, so are these buildings going to be torn down in 3 years, or are they going to be here forever? You know, those are obviously very important to our analysis. Number 4, when will the income start? So maybe the buildings aren't done yet and they're not going to be producing any rent until year number 8. You know, that's okay, but we just need to consider that in our valuation of the properties. And number 5, what is our required rate of return on this investment? If both of these buildings, let's say we're going to produce a total of $200,000 in rent over their lifetime, that is not a good investment, right? So even though they're going to pay us our original principal back, we're going to get this $200,000 back in rent income. That's not an investment because we're not making anything on that. So in order to make money, we're going to have to earn something greater than $200,000. Let's talk for just a second about what the details of each of these properties are. Okay, so let's say property A, we are going to get $24,000 year number 1. That income is going to grow at 7%. 3, it will last for 10 years, and then this building is going to be torn down. The building B is going to pay us $24,000. It is going to grow at 3% instead of 7%. The income is going to last basically forever. Actually, we're just going to say it lasts 100 years, since that's what Buffett was talking about in his video. He said, you know, if we know 100 years worth of cash flows, we can value the business. So we'll say 100 years, and it is not going to start paying us anything until year number 10. We still need to know how much money do we want to make on this property. What rate of return would you need to get on that in order to make it worth it for you? You would probably start with thinking about your investment options. So you could go to the bank and you can get a 1% return, and that's basically a 100% guarantee that you're going to get that, right? You could buy a bond. So the bond's going to pay you, say, 3%. If we're going to buy the AGG or some bond index, and there's probably a 98% chance we're going to get that. Maybe we have some defaults or whatever, but for the most part, this is pretty safe. Both of these are pretty safe returns. So stepping up the risk, let's say you can just buy a stock and you can make, we'll say, 7% on the stock market, and you can make that, we'll say, with a 85%. And we'll say your crazy uncle has a tech startup idea that he thinks will produce a 25% per year return for you, but it is basically a coin flip, whether you'll make 25% or lose everything. Okay, so very, very risky, you know, a little bit more risky, and then these are pretty safe options. And the returns you get, you know, reflect all of those risks. So your consideration here for this rental property should be, what do you need to make in order to make this worthwhile for you? Let's say you need to get something between the stock market and your uncle. Let's say you want to get 10% on this. So to just tie this concept back to what we were talking about yesterday, Buffett was talking about the risk premium for stocks, and he cited the bond rate plus the risk premium to equal your required rate of return. So if the bonds, if rates drop and say they're at 2%, the risk premium for stocks has generally been about 5%, which gets us to a 7% required rate of return on the average stock. So let's go to the spreadsheet real quick, and let's just look at what we might pay for this thing. So I've got in here all the numbers. So I've got how much rent income in the first year. We've got $24,000. The rent is going to grow by 7%. The income is going to last for 10 years. The income will start in year 1, and we need a 10% rate of return to make this worthwhile. Okay, so all I've done here is just basically plug in all of those numbers. So year number 1, we've got 24,000. Year number 2, this is growing at 7% to get 25,680, 7% again. And then this ends in year number 10. So year number 11, we don't have anything that year or any time thereafter. So if we add up all of this rent income, we would collect $331,595 from building A, right? So this is building A. We need to make some rate of return on this money. So this column here is the discounted rate. So if we discount 24,000 by 10%, this number right here, we would get $21,818. Said another way, if you invested today $21,818 at 10%, you would eventually, 1 year from now, end up with $24,000. We're discounting all of these cash flows back to this number, and then we're just adding all of these up, and we arrive at $193,262. Okay, so in other words, if all of these rent payments came in exactly as we've predicted, and we paid $193,000 for building A, we would earn a 10% rate of return, or we would end up growing our money to $331,595. So let's check out what we might pay for building B. Okay, so this one is a little different. So we've got the first year rental income, $24,000. That's only growing at 3% per year. The income is going to last for, not 240 years, but 100 years. And the income is going to start in year number 11. And we're still requiring a 10% rate of return. Okay, so year number 11, we get 24,000. That grows at 3%. If we discount all these cash flows back, so an $8,412 today, growing at 10% per year for 11 years, would eventually end up as 24,000. Okay, so we're just doing the reverse. How much do we need to pay today to get 24,000 in the future at a 10% rate of return? And if we add up all 100 of these cash flows, so if we just scroll down on and on and on and on, all the way down to year number 100, we're just adding up all of these rental payments and all of these discounted cash flow payments, we would end up with $10,640 in total rent that we would receive. However, discounting that back to today, all of those rent payments would only be worth $131,830 at a 10% discount rate. Okay, so this is building B. Building B is worth $131,830. Building A is worth $193,262. If we just add up all of those numbers, we arrive at $325,093 is our valuation for this building. Okay, so what should we do? We should run to the bank, get as much money as we can, and buy this thing. So what's this have to do with dividend stocks? A lot. Okay, so what we've essentially done here is build a two-stage dividend model. Building A represents the high growth phase of a company. So dividend stock grows its dividend more rapidly in the first 10 years than it will in perpetuity, or for the next from years 11 to 100. As the company gets bigger, it matures, it's going to pay a slower and slower dividend growth rate. So we have to account for that in our calculations. If we just assume that Visa is going to always grow their dividend by 15% per year, we're going to end up drastically overpaying for the stock today, because eventually they cannot grow that fast forever. Eventually it must slow down to at least the same pace that the economy is growing. So that's why we need to do this in two separate stages. So Verizon, again, we can just use all the same questions. How much is the rent? How much is the dividend in year number one? $2.42. How much is the dividend going to grow each year? This is for you to plug in here, but I think a reasonable expectation would be about 5%. So just put in 5% there. How long will this income last? This is, again, we're just valuing the first 10 years, and the income's going to start right now, and we're going to require a 7% rate of return on the stock. And that's just, using kind of Buffett's rule of thumb, 2% bond rate plus, we'll say, a 5% risk premium for the market. Okay, so we need 7% to make this worthwhile. If we grow this $2.42 dividend at 5%, next year it'll be $2.54, $2.67, blah, blah, blah. And then we're going to discount each one of these cash flows back by 7% per year for X number of years. It's going to give us a cumulative $20.81 that we need to pay today for this stream of future dividend income. The undiscounted rate is $30.44. Okay, so that's the first part. Part number two, we're going to compute what's the perpetual value of Verizon. Okay, so this was building B in our other example, our first example. Okay, so how much rent income in year number one? It's going to be $3.75. Okay, so that's here, and that is essentially just this. It reflects the same dividend, the growth of the dividend for Verizon. By year 10, we estimate it'll be $3.75. So that's what we're going to say in year number 11. And that is growing now at a slower pace of, I've got 2% in here per year, just assuming they grow with inflation, and that's it. And that is growing, for the next 100 years, just like our real estate property. And again, I put 240 here. Sorry, this is actually 100. Okay, so if we add up, again, all of these discounted, all these dividends, we would arrive at 928. But we have to discount that back to what we should pay for these today to get a 7% rate of return. It gives us $37.65. Okay, so if we add up the fast growth phase, which was building A, it's worth $20.81. Building B, or the slow growth phase, $37.65, and the fair value that we compute for Verizon is $58.46. Okay, Verizon's trading at $58.20. If all these numbers were precisely correct, if you bought Verizon today, you would make 7% per year on that investment. That's pretty good. I would consider that to be a reasonable rate of return. The other thing you might want to think about is a concept called margin of safety. Verizon, let's say instead of growing at 2% in perpetuity, they only grow at 0% instead of 2%. Okay, so we were off on one of our estimates. Now all of a sudden the value of Verizon, you see this, dropped from 58? It dropped to 48, okay, by just changing one metric. We just changed the growth rate. You have to consider when you're valuing a stock, what if I'm wrong? If you paid $58 per share, you've basically overpaid. Okay, now the value is actually only 48. I put in here the desired margin of safety is 20. Yours may be less, maybe more. This considered buying price is 20% below our calculated fair value. If we paid $46.77, that would give us a 20% margin of safety below what we actually think the stock is worth. And then on the upside, if the stock ever reached $70.15, we would consider that to be fairly overvalued. That is basically the dividend discount model in a nutshell. I hope that's helpful for you guys. If you want to be notified whenever we post the next video, just hit the subscribe button down below, or I'll post it right up here. Just click this button. Thanks a lot for watching, and talk to you guys soon.